Alright everyone, welcome to another review, and I'm going to be taking a look at Rise of the Planet of the Apes, directed by Rupert Wyatt, and starring a solid cast that consists of James Franco, Frida Pinto, John Lithgow, Brian Cox, and Andy Serkis. Alright, now, I was never much of a big fan of Planet of the Apes, like the entire series in general. They never really did anything for me. But I really enjoyed this reboot. I thought this was a really solid movie. It converted me to an Apes fan. I still haven't gone back to watch the older ones. I'm probably not because I like the direction that the reboot is doing. Kind of like with Star Trek. I was never much of a Star Trek guy, but I like the Star Trek reboot. But let's talk about this movie right now. Like I said, Rise of the Planet of the Apes is a reboot of the original series. Set new continuity and all that stuff. And like I said, this was really well done, really well made. Got a really solid cast. With the main highlight, of course, being Andy Serkis as Caesar, the ape who is given the intelligence of a human through the use of experimentation. Which I'm going to get to right now. The basic plot of this movie is James Franco's father is suffering from Alzheimer's disease, and James Franco's developing this drug to try and cure that disease. And the company that he works for, they test this drug on chimpanzees, and this one Pacific chimp was given the drug. Her name was Bright Eyes, and automatic saw an increased intelligence within her. She was able to do things that normal apes could not do. But one thing led to another, and she is killed because she goes berserk. And it's revealed that the reason why she went berserk is because, unbeknownst to the scientists, she actually was pregnant at the time of her capture and had just given birth to little Caesar. And she was going berserk because she thought the humans were trying to attack her child. So she was just being a protective mother. Of course, this led to James Franco taking in Caesar and pretty much raising Caesar and, raising Caesar. He first started off as a pet and then, eventually pretty much started to treat Caesar in a way like his son, because Caesar, born from Bright Eyes, was the effects of this drug that was being experimented on his mother transferred onto him genetically. So he was given the increased intelligence and stuff like that. And throughout the course of the movie, you see his intelligence, rapidly progress. Like he gets smarter and smarter and smarter, to the point where he can communicate with James Franco's character by the use of sign language, which was really impressive to see. And Andy Serkis' performance as Caesar is fantastic, and James Franco to me gives a very underrated performance in this movie. I thought he was very solid. I like John Lithgow as his dad. I like him when he has the Alzheimer's, and I also like him when he's temporarily cured of the Alzheimer's, when Vancouver does eventually give that Alzheimer's drug to him in a human testing. And I like it. I like it a lot. I like the relationships between all three characters as a whole. You do get that Franco is the father, and his dad is the grandfather, and Caesar is the son, and you get that triangle dynamic between these three characters, and I like it. Because, Caesar is not an ordinary chimpanzee. He is a chimpanzee with human intelligence. So you have to pretty much, treat him in a way like a human, because he's pretty much been raised as a human. So to me, he does not know how to really act like a chimpanzee. Which, throughout the course of the movie, you see that happen. Especially in the scene where, Caesar eventually, goes berserk on a dickhead neighbor, and is eventually taken to this, I guess you could say, ape sanctuary, which is run by Brian Cox and his douchebag son. And you see him integrated into that, ape culture with all the regular apes, and you can clearly tell he is the fish out of water, and as like an initiative, the other apes pretty much taunt Caesar because Caesar, he's very naive, that he thinks these apes are like him when they're clearly not. And and the scenes with Caesar in this sanctuary are, to me, these are the best scenes. This is where Andy Serkis really gets to sell his motion capture performance, and he is criminally underrated, and the fact that this man has not even been nominated for an Academy Award is baffling to me, and the fact that they won't recognize motion capture as a performance is just ludicrous, because Andy Serkis was meant to play Caesar. He gives Caesar his personality. He gives him everything that Caesar needs to be. Andy Serkis conveys that. Motion capture is no different than pantomime acting. It's just a modern day update of pantomime acting, and Andy Serkis is fantastic at it. And like I said, his portrayal of Caesar, top notch in this film. Especially when they get to the Apes Sanctuary and you see him now start to, get a climb to this, and you see these scenes where he learns the way of a chimp, but also mixing in with his human intelligence. So he's slowly becoming the alpha ape in a way, the ape, like the king of the apes. And we see that when he pretty much befriends two particular apes, being Maurice, who is kind of who also knows sign language, but he's a circus ape. But Maurice becomes like a mentor to him, and then he befriends this big gorilla named Buck, who would eventually become almost like an enforcer once we get to the last half of the film, and all hell breaks loose. And the rivalry that Caesar develops with Dodge, who is the douchebag son of Brian Cox, is also really well handled. And when it finally gets to the scene where Caesar, makes that triumphant stand, and just as Dodge is about to in the other course movie, Dodge has been abusing him, and then when finally Caesar grabs his arm and Dodge, does the classic, "Get your stinking hands off me, you damn dirty ape," channeling Charlton Heston from the first movie. Caesar just screams out, "No!" And the second he says no, the reactions that the rest of the apes make is just amazing. It's what the fuck just happened type moment. And it really is one of those awesome moments in movies where the hero, where you finally see the moment you've been waiting for. When you see it, you're just yes, finally. And from then on, Caesar becomes, Caesar now becomes, the leader of this now ape community that's been established. And of course, they break out of the sanctuary. They cause a ruckus all over San Francisco. In the parallel, you have James Franco, who's frantically trying to find Caesar and bring him home and try to stop him from causing the chaos and stuff like that. And also throughout the course of this movie, we have this character called Jacobs, who Franco's character works for, who is just a big business dick, who's saying, "You must experiment on this drug now," and blah 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 blah. And of course, we're introduced to this other character named Koba, who plays a very important role in this movie and has an even more important role in the next movie. But we'll get to that when we get to that. But when we get to that last action set piece, it's actually Koba who lands the kill shot on this character Jacobs, and ultimately kills him when he pushes his chopper off the bridge, and Jacobs falls to his doom. That, of course, that pretty much plants the seed of Koba being someone that you wouldn't want to trust someone like him, because he'll fucking pounce on you faster than your head can spin. And his facial reactions when he's also given the drug with an increased intelligence is also great, because he has that classic villainous aura to him and that classic villain look to him. So yeah, the design of Koba is pretty cool, and what they did with his character in this movie was also was pretty good, and plants the seeds for what's to come in the future, which I thought was really good. This movie did a good job at establishing its universe and also planting seeds for what's to come in the future, which was also great. This movie also reveals how the human race will eventually become extinct. During the testing of one of the on Koba when he was being given the drug, uh, they're doing it in aerosol form. So like I think one of the plugs accidentally comes loose, and one of the doctors or handlers, their mask falls off, and he absorbs the aerosol, and it it weakens his immune system to the point where like it kills him. But prior to that, he goes to look for James Franco's character, and he sneezes on the asshole neighbor I mentioned previously. And it's revealed in the mid-credit scene that the asshole neighbor is actually a airplane pilot. So, yes, how many people can board an airplane on a given day? Come on now, it's only a matter of time before the whole world goes extinct because of that. So I like how that was handled. But before that, so after the whole brawl on the Golden Gate Bridge, Caesar finally leads his community of apes to the Redwood Forest, where they can have sanctuary and be free. And James Franco, of course, finally finds Caesar. Says, "Caesar, come home with me. I can protect you," and stuff like that. And then Caesar, puts his hands gently on Franco and just says, "Caesar is home." Franco's reaction to hearing Caesar talk for the first time was really well done. I like the way he sold it. And Franco was just like a father giving his like a father approving of his son's decision, says right back, "Caesar is home." And that's basically how the main movie, and that's basically how the movie ends. And then that credit scene I mentioned pops up. So yeah, that is my overall take on Rise of the Planet of the Apes. With everything all said and done, this movie to me is I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10. It's really well done, really well directed, really good CGI effects. I do got a couple of nitpicks here and there, but like I said, got a couple of nitpicks here and there. The human characters to me could have used a little bit more development. The character of Jacobs really did come across as just like a generic, almost like very generic to me. Though I did like his death scene, but he in the intern was just like, yeah, he's just just someone to butt heads with. And that doesn't really do anything. I like Brian Cox as an actor, and to me, I thought he was a little bit wasted in his role, which was a real downer to me. I think he could have done a little bit more with him. Frida Pinto, beautiful looking woman. Also, she is kind of wasted as the love interest. I mean, she is a veterinarian, so she does do something, but she doesn't really play that much of a role in the movie. If you take her character out, it's still the same movie, and it's a damn shame. Because I do think she is a very, very good looking woman, and as an actor, she's very solid. And the performance that she gave in this movie was good. She just had a underwritten character. So stuff like that to me is very important in making a movie. Like if your characters are not fully developed or they're just there as set design, it takes away from the grade of an overall very solid movie. So yes, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, solid 8 out of 10. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'll check you back next time for the sequel.